Whew. Wow. That was different. Welcome to chapter 114 of Memoirs of a Caucasian Chap. How are we all going, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you've had a good week. Yes, the podcast is late. Yes, there is a different background to usual. I'm at the radio station right now. I'm quickly recording the podcast before a gig. Well, not quickly. I'm going to do it at a regular pace. I'm not just going to be like, alright guys, next up we're going to read some iTunes reviews and then this happened this week, sorry. Alright guys, like, comment and subscribe. Alright, bye. Nah. I might even do it slow because I've got a bit of time for my gig. So actually I don't have much time, but you know what? I'll be still doing the podcast at a regular pace. You'll be happy to know. Luke, why is the podcast late? You said it would be every Monday from now on. Hey. Yes, I did. Sue me, man. No one's perfect. Yesterday, the reason why I didn't do it yesterday was I went to do it yesterday and I did record some of a podcast. It was a terrible podcast. So what happened was, it was a big weekend. I went to Wollongong, Newcastle and Sydney. They were all great shows. Had a lot of early flights, a lot of long drives, 3 days of travelling in a row. Believe it or not, makes you a bit sleepy. Got home on Sunday from Sydney, and then pretty much had to go straight to the radio station to do the show that night. And then, got home very late from the radio station. Then had to get up early on Monday morning we had to do an interview at the radio station as well, so I had to get up early again. I only got about 4 hours sleep, and I got home about Monday afternoon to do, and I was like, right, it's podcast time, let's do it. I started recording this episode, and then at one point I just stopped talking. I had one job. I just stopped talking. I just forgot to talk. You know what I mean? Have you ever done a bit like doing a podcast that I do this podcast by myself. I'm the host. It's a one-man show, and I just didn't rock up that day. You know what I mean? I forgot to talk. So that would have been a bad episode to upload. So I did about 15 minutes of it, and then I was like, this is terrible. And I mean worse than usual. Like, this podcast is known for being unprofessional, but it's like, I draw the line at silence. Like, that's where I set the bar for this podcast. It's got to be better than nothing. This podcast is better than silence. I want that to be like a review on iTunes. And if you haven't left a review on iTunes, what are you doing, by the way? Because we're still charting, and it helps a lot. We're still in the top 100 comedy podcasts in the country. So go leave a review, and we'll go back. We'll fly up those charts again, back into the top 30. My weekend was awesome. The shows were great. Before we start, I'll read out a few dates that are coming up. Melbourne Comedy Festival, 27th of March to April 14th. Be there. I'm doing Wednesday to Sunday for 3 weeks, so you got 15 chances to see it. That doesn't mean you should wait till the last week, because the last week always sells out. If you actually don't know when to come, please come the first 2 nights, in particularly opening night. It's my birthday, and look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've sold sweet fuck all tickets. The weekend's already sold out, almost. Like the first Friday, Saturday, not many tickets left at all. Almost sold out. There couldn't be more tickets left to the first night. There almost couldn't be more tickets left. Like, I've only sold like 15 tickets or something. So, please come to the 27th of March. So it's next Wednesday, next Thursday. It's my birthday on the Wednesday night. So it'll be really sad because, like, what about if it's my birthday and then I'm just on stage and someone's like, even if I sung my own happy birthday, which that would be sad, but say if I got on stage and was like, alright guys, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to you. I do the whole song. I get to the end and I'd be like, hip hip. And there'd be no one there to hooray. So guys, if you want to come and hooray on Wednesday night, that'd be great. It would mean a lot. But yeah, if you want to come to Melbourne and you don't know when to come, I'd love to see you on a Wednesday, Thursday night, because the weekends always fill up anyway. But yeah, man, I'm super keen. There's like most of the weekend shows are almost sold out. But Wednesday, Thursday nights, whoo, man, a lot of seats left. So let's get cranking. This is what I did last year with Canberra. I had sold like hardly any tickets at all. And then I just complained on the podcast, and then the show ended up selling out. So I figure if I complain hard enough, then you guys will get into gear, get tickets to Wednesday the 27th of March, not make my birthday fucking miserable. I think I've got a few mates coming that night, and they'll just be like, oh, I thought you had fans, dude. Like, it's just fucking us. And I'll be like, yeah, so did I. Oh, man. So let's not make that happen. Please be there when I say hip hip for you to say hooray. I don't want to be met with nothing. That scares me. I'm having nightmares about it. Just like, hip hip. Oh. I'm going to have to celebrate my birthday at the weekend shows. But yeah, I'm super keen for the comedy festival. I'm doing a bigger room this year. It'll be cool. It's real nice. So, you know, if you've been to see me in the past, you would have seen me at a weird-ass pub if you went the first, like an old Irish pub. And then last year I did like this cheeky little vaudeville theatre that definitely looked like a strip club. And this year, I'm doing a nice venue. It's at the Australian Institute of Music, and it's great, man. It's like a nice little like theatre. So yeah, get down to that. And yeah, the shows on the weekend were awesome. Cardinal Pell dropped into my Sydney show. Should probably give some context to that statement. A lot of people are going, oh, I thought he got 6 years. Nah, early parole. He made it to the Paddo RSL in Sydney because it was so weird. So I had a 12-year-old at my show, right, which is obviously attracts a lot of people from the Catholic Church. And I said on stage, I was like, oi, like I was talking to some 15-year-old in the crowd, and I was like, is anyone here younger than 15? Because 15, that's quite young, right? And I was like, and someone's like, this little girl was like, yes. And I was like, oh, how you going? Like, what was your name? Whatever. Went through it. There was a guy sitting next to her, right? Oh my God, my phone's going off. Stop. Alright. It's on airplane mode. The only phone that will be bought out now for the rest of the podcast is the Knock, which I'll get to in a sec. But so I asked on stage, any 12-year-olds in? Oh, no, I said, is there anyone younger than 15? Someone said 12. There was a guy sitting next to her, like an older man, like an adult, like a dad, presumably. I said, oh, obviously you're the dad then? And he went, nah. And I was like, who are you? And he's like, I'm just... And he didn't have an explanation. And I was like, what, you're just here with a 12-year-old girl? And he's like, yep. And I was like, oh, Cardinal Pell, welcome to the show. And then, like, obviously it was a joke and all. He's like, no, I am the dad. And I was like, okay. He's like, I just thought it would be funny. And I was like, cool. Anyway, and then it gets to the end of the show, and it was in the meet and greet, and he comes up with his kids, right? He had 2 sons there, and then the daughter was the 12-year-old. And he came up and we went, like, just loud as fuck in the line. There was like 50 more people waiting, and he just went like, he's like, Luke, George Pell, lovely to meet you. And I was like, yeah, shut the fuck up. We're no longer in the space. There's random people walking around. It was great fun. Anyway, but it made me realize that, like, it must be real rough for other George Pells. Like, George is quite a common name. I'm assuming Pell is quite a common last name. This month, not a great month to be a George Pell. I'm sure they go around going, like, introducing themselves at work, like, oh, sorry, what's your name, mate? George? Oh, yeah, George, what was your last name, sorry? George Pell? Sorry, what? George Pell? Sorry, you're going to have to speak up. My name's George Pell. And then while they're putting you in handcuffs, they're probably like, man, I can't believe we hired him. No, a different George. It's like, it'd be so unlucky if you had that name, because for at least 6 weeks, you'd be running with, like, my name's Georgie Powell, or, like, Big G, or, you know what I mean? You don't want to run with George Pell. Like, I think Bill Burr has a bit about it. He's a comedian, right, if you don't know. He has a bit, it's a great bit about how Adolf Hitler was so evil that he ruined the name Adolf. It's a bit like that, like modern names that have been ruined forever, or at least for the next few years. George Pell, you're not good to be a George Pell. Man, I once met a kid named Harry Potter, and I felt so bad for him. It was at Little Athletics. I used to do it, and there was 2 kids that had famous persons' names, but they were born in 1996, which is when I was born. And so Harry Potter wasn't a book yet, so his last name was Potter, hey, his parents like, oh, we love the name Harry. It's not a famous wizard yet. Let's call our kid Harry Potter. Next minute, fast forward 5 years time, the poor kid has to go to school and everyone's fucking going like, Expelliarmus, and show us your fucking scar, and like one kid's like shaved his head, put his nose up, and then Harry's fucking head would have started hurting, would have been like, fuck, I wish my parents wouldn't give me this shit ass name. You'd regret that as the parents. You'd be like, I'm so sorry. We can change your name if you want. Like, I'm sure there's a kid out there, like, whose last name was Weasley, and his parents were like, let's call him Ronald. That would be so shit. Yeah, there's some names that are just rough, and, like, it was when that guy said George Pell, I was like, you can't say that. And but yet it's just a name. It was like he just dropped, like, a C-bomb in a kindergarten. Everyone just went, whoa, what? He's George Pell. Oh, okay, he's joking. Still, fuck. You know what I mean? Say if you're like a company, I'm sure there was like a little startup business like back in like 2001, right? And they were probably like a little computer business, you know, and maybe their like initials were like ELKIDA, and they were called Al Qaeda, and it was just some guy trying to sell like software to different companies, and then nah, can't do that anymore. Sorry, man. Gonna have to change your fucking ABN. Start again. Yeah, it's like I'm sure there was. I think there's definitely in Melbourne. There's a company. I'm not sure what the company does, but there's a company called ISIS, and they used to have big signs everywhere. And after like ISIS became a thing, people used to Snapchat the thing. They definitely would have had to change their name to at least like ISIS Incorporated. But then people would have been like, oh fuck. ISIS are moving up in the world. They've got headquarters in Melbourne now. I thought they were just in Afghanistan. Like, far out, man. But yeah, the shows were great. Thank you to everyone who came out. That was some of the 3 funnest shows I've ever done. I'm loving doing this new show, the Tambourine Tour. Man, every time you go to lukekidgell.com, it's just bzzz, and because people are coming in swarms. Unless you're booking for a Wednesday or Thursday during the comedy festival. In that case, there's no buzzing to be heard, so let's create a bit of buzz there, people. Wednesday, Thursday nights. Let's start filling those bad boys. Anyway, what else did I want to talk about? The shows were sick. I don't know if I have any more stories from the weekend. I feel like I had a really underwhelming weekend, considering I was just super busy. I went to the Virgin Lounge. Yeah, you know what? That's a pretty good flex. I'm going to talk about that. Do I have this podcast just to gloat to people less fortunate than me? Absolutely. That's why it's called Memoirs of a White Guy. I'm just flexing my privilege. And it's not like by the way, I'm not allowed to be in the Virgin Lounge. I was with my tour manager, Zach, and he's a platinum member for Virgin, and he gets a +1 when he goes in the Virgin Lounge. So we rolled into the airport early for our flight, and we're like, bro, let's like milk this. And man, there was like a pancake maker. There was a free buffet. There was a printer. Dude, a printer at the airport. I wish I had something to print. I should have bought all my printing stuff. I didn't know that the options that were out there for rich people. I had no idea this is how rich people have been enjoying flying. Because like, every time I go to the airport, I'm sitting in the peasant bit. You know, I'm buying a $6 muffin, giving it a slap because it's a bloody cheeky boy. And then, you know, I'm sitting with all the scum. I'm at the boarding gate, you know, trying to log on to free Wi-Fi because we're so far out in the terminal. My fucking data doesn't work because bloody Vodafone or whoever I'm with Kogan, which runs off Vodafone towers, and every time I regret it. It's the only place my phone has never had reception is at Melbourne Airport. It sucks, man. So I'm usually with the peasants, you know what I mean? The scum. Probably, like, you know, with all the bloody tiger princes and Jetstar lords, you know, I'm usually one of the people. But not on Saturday. I was a higher power. I rolled onto that Virgin flight afterwards. Yeah, I'm a Virgin king now, by the way. And I felt like a king. Because once you've had that lounge experience pre-flight, it makes the flight look shithouse. There was a day where I'd be like, wow, just even getting on a Virgin plane, that's fancy. Once you've experienced the lounge, dude, the plane seems like fucking Tiger all over again. But yeah, I'm moving up in the world. I'm being a Virgin King this tour, and life's great. I got some freshly made pancakes. What else was in the lounge? It was so good. You know what I love? I just love watching the people. I never get to observe rich people because I'm never hanging out in places where rich people hang. But in the Virgin Lounge, I noticed this is how you can tell. I realized this is how you can tell the difference between a rich person and then a middle class person like myself. Anyone wearing white shoes, if they're rich, have shiny white shoes. Everyone wearing white shoes, if they're middle class, bit faded. These boys here, right? Got some Nike boys on. I'm putting them up in the camera now. Look at that, not perfect white. It's like a slight fade. Why? Because I don't give a fuck. I don't wash them. Right? They're faded, they're worn out, but they're a trusty shoe. Rich people, they probably go through shoes like once a month. That's what I realized. I'm just literally was walking around the fucking free buffet, right, with all the rich people, and I'm just looking at all their shoes going like, man, you got like Yeezys, like, I'm like, I can't afford any of this. It made me feel so insecure, but I was also trying to be one of them. You know, like when animals do that and they try and become one of the herd. So I was just like giving my shoes some spit shine. You know, I was like spitting on them, and then people are like, why is this fucking guy spitting on his shoes? Scum. And I was like, hey mate, I reckon people would have been able to tell that I wasn't supposed to be there. Like that it wasn't me that had the platinum membership, because I was walking around going, Zach, there's watermelon. Can I just take it? He goes, take whatever you want, mate. It's all free. I'm like, so I can just put it on a plate? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what about the pancakes? Are they free? And he's like, yeah, mate, everything's free. I'm like, what about the muffins? I'm used to paying $6 at the airport for a muffin. He was like, doesn't matter, mate. I'm like, are these ones cheeky? Should I give him a slap? And he's like, fuck, I regret bringing you in here. But yeah. I suck. I'm like the whitest dude, just like screaming across the lounge with all the rich people with their like fucking AirPods in, because they're all just like subtly flexing their wealth with their shiny ass earphones and their shiny ass fucking shoes. What are you, a rare Pokemon? Get out of here, you shiny asshole. Anyway, man. Anyway, so the weekend was sick. The shows went off. Thank you everyone for coming. And I don't know if I have any more stories. I think it's all the stories I have from the weekend. I do want to talk about Egg Boy. I watched the Egg Boy video before I went on stage in Sydney, and I loved it. I didn't actually know who Fraser Anning was, the racist politician. And also, if anyone is like, oh, fuck you, I agree with him, get the fuck out. No one wants you here, dude. If you like that dude, you definitely are a piece of shit, and you need to reevaluate a few things. But I agree with what he... Like, it's like those people who like Trump, where they're like, but he says what he's thinking. And it's like, yeah, he shouldn't. Because what he's thinking is backwards as fuck. That doesn't make someone a good person. It's like, oh, but he says what he thinks. It's like, yeah, but his thoughts are fucking insane, so he should never speak. That's funny that I always laugh when that's an argument. People go, nah, but I like him because... And you're like, dude... You're like as dumb as him. But yeah, if you didn't see the Egg Boy video, you would have by now. I'm just assuming everyone has. If you haven't seen it, stop the podcast now, look up Egg Boy, treat yourself, and then come back. Because I'm just going to assume that everyone has. He's a national hero. That's all I've got to say. And I know you've probably heard a million people talk about this, so I won't stand it for too long. But my two things, I'm going to try and give a bit of a different take. Here's my two thoughts on the whole thing. So I'll briefly explain it, and then I'll give you my two thoughts that you probably haven't heard this take on the situation. The brief thing was, Fraser Anning is this politician, he's a senator from Queensland. He's... After the New Zealand shootings happened, which was horrible, by the way, I'm really sorry if anyone from New Zealand was affected by that. It was a tragedy, and... The guy was such a fucking idiot. He's such a moron that he used the shootings as a way to promote... Like, after the shootings happened, he used that horrible violence as a way to promote his fucked political agenda, which is why everyone hates this dude. He came out and said, like, is anyone... He's tweeted, like, 20 minutes after it happened, something really inappropriate. I'm paraphrasing here, so this isn't the quote, but he said something like... does it still surprise anyone that there's a direct link between Muslim immigration and violence? Or something like that. And it's like, dude, how thick are you? Are you a thick shake, dude? Because, like, what an idiot. The people who were shot in the shootings were Muslim. There were 50, I don't know what the exact number is, but over 50 Muslim people were shot in their place of worship. Has nothing to do. Has nothing to do with Muslims. It was, anyway, it was like, I don't have to explain why that's insane, right? So anyway, everyone hates this arsehole. That's the point. And he was doing an interview for ABC News, and there's this kid sitting behind him, right? He just pulls out his phone. It's a 17-year-old with the biggest nutsack in Australia. The kid's name is Will Connolly. He will forever be a national hero. And this is what I loved about it. Without hesitation, lifted up his phone, pulled an egg out, and cracked him over the head. Fraser Anning turned around, clocked him in the face, punched a minor on live TV. Amazing, right? That's the shit you don't get. You don't get to see that anymore. That's why we should do more live TV. You know, I felt like that shit would have happened. Those are the glory days of television. That's fucker right in the pussy level shit. That's like when you're like, oh, miracles do exist. You know what I mean? That's when, like, when I saw that video and the egg just splattered and it made the guy pissed. I was like, it restored my faith in humanity a little bit. I was like, there's still some people out there smashing eggs, doing good. And yeah, the guy clocked a minor on live TV, which was very funny. The kid got tackled by all his supporters and choked out. But he will forever be a legend. He didn't get charged, I don't think. And I think we should make an Australian tradition to just egg shit we hate. Because I love that. It's just like, Jonas Brothers CD? Crack. What else? Like, The Project? Crack. Just, it's everything. Hi, like, someone just walks into the room and goes, introduce themselves. Hi, I'm a journalist at BuzzFeed Australia. Boom! On the back of the head. And they're like, yeah, I had that coming. Fair enough. You know, there's so many, it'd be so good. Anyway, that's just like my dream. I want to live in a utopia where we can just crack things, you know, like, you wake up every morning, you see your own reflection in the face. Yeah, this was what I took away from Egg Boy. Number one, and this might be a unique take, I don't know. What was it again? I forget. This is like me yesterday. I just couldn't think. I'm still tired. Okay, now first point is, I forgot one of the points. That's so annoying. Okay, I'll talk about the first one. My first point is, here's my first one. I remembered it. He pulled up his phone, right? The kid pulled up his phone and was presumably, it's assumed that he was filming it. That's why he was holding his phone like that, and then he cracked it. Are we yet to see, I haven't seen the first person footage of that. I want to see his angle. Where's that gone? So that's my first point. I don't think nearly enough people are wanting to see that angle. So Will, like, I don't know, like, maybe I should contact the dude on Instagram. I'm sure his DMs are blown up, but it's just like, mate, like, give us the footage that we all want. Upload that shit. I want the first person bit. I'm sure he was just doing it for someone in the group chat. You know what I mean? It's probably, I bet you he was just trying to spice up the boys and then accidentally, like, became an internet sensation overnight. He was probably just in, like, a group chat, you know, with the fellas. He realised it was Fraser Anning. He's probably, that dude's a piece of shit. I got an egg in my pocket. Or, no, it was clearly a planned attack, you know? No one just carries around a raw egg. And he only was carrying one egg, I reckon, which means he had one take at it. So he would have been really nervous. Because there's some videos that I film, like, where I've only got one take at it. For example, some of the You Don't Owe Me ones where I tipped water or sand over my head. In a video, I've tipped spaghetti over my head before. And when you're doing those shots, geez, you got to be on it. Everyone's got to be ready. You got to be you filming, right? This is what's going to happen. We've only got one take at this. I'm not going to have a shower. Right, we've got one shot. Let's nail it. Man, I would have been so nervous if I had one egg and just my phone going like, this is it, you know? Say if, like, the Fraser Anning guy had been describing a story on TV and then, like, you know, moved his head. He would have missed and then thrown it straight into the camera. Then it would have looked like he was anti-ABC News when really it was anti this piece of shit, right? Anyway, crazy. And my second point is, so the first point is, Where's the first person footage? I want to see it. Second point is, lot of people praising this Will kid, Egg Boy. Love that. Good. Keep that energy going. He's a national hero. But not nearly enough praise for the chicken that laid the egg. Why can't we go to Will's mum's house, presumably, right? Look in his bin, right? Find the carton of eggs, get the serial number on it, track it down to the farm where or the place where the eggs came from, then go to that place, then track down the farm where these eggs were shipped from, go to the farm, and then let's find the chicken. Let's make that chicken the new coat of arms. The Egg Boy chicken. Fuck off the kangaroo and the emu. I want to see the bloody chicken that laid that egg proudly. Just like, this is what I want our new coat of arms to be. To just be Will Connolly, like with his phone up like that, the screenshot of that, and then the chicken that laid the egg next to him over the other side on the 50-cent coin. That would make me proud to be Australian. That's a world I want to live in. So, yeah, I don't know. Can we make it happen? Who knows? So that's my thoughts on Egg Boy. Those are my two takes. Obviously, I don't want to get too into like the politics of it all, because you can hear a way better take from someone who knows what they're talking about. But I will talk about the chicken that laid the egg. You know, I bet you I'm the only one who's got that hot take. So, you know what I mean? You guys are you're welcome. You're hearing some fresh stuff. What else have we got going? I think it was someone in the podcast group, Mia Fisher, loyal listener of the podcast. She pops up a lot, her name. So shout out Mia. She posted something that I feel quite strongly about, and I think that as a collective, like the listenership of this podcast, occasionally we make great things happen. You know, we found Peter Pigeon. Unfortunately, we never got the interview because the world's not ready yet. But we've made a few great things happen on this podcast. And I guess one of the things that we've never made happen on this podcast, and it's definitely my fault, and I take full responsibility, Osher Gunsberg. He's never joined us, and I guess he's the hero. He's the messiah of Memoirs of a White Guy, and I think a lot of us look up to him as not only an excellent television host, but as a role model, and also maybe not a role model. He's a great person, but mainly as like a, you know, when you go to your hairdresser, you go like, give me one of those, kind of that kind of role model. And not only that, he's also a terrific bloke. But so there is a campaign that has started, right, called #OsherForGold, and a radio station has, I think, or like the Daily Mail, I don't know who started this campaign, but there's a bunch of people campaigning for Osher to get a golden Logie this year. And the fact that Osher's never won gold before disgusts me to my core. It's kind of like when you see, you know, like a bird eating up someone's vomit on a night out, and it just makes you feel a little sick inside, and you're like, oh, that's wrong. That's not right at all. Every time I think about the fact that Osher doesn't have a golden Logie, I just go, oh, that's wrong. That's right at all. If you've ever watched anything he's hosted, not only is he professional in a household, he maintains a level of professionalism in a mansion full of 20 to 30-year-old women who are 10 out of 10s with their cleavage on display. I've never seen him look down. I've not once in a rose ceremony have I ever seen Osher's eyes dart down at a pair of titties. And it's full credit to Osh. And yes, he's married, but you know, I'm sure even like Osher's wife, I don't know, she's lovely, but mate, there's some girls who would bloody cop a look because you're just going, yeah, right, like it's just a human instinct to be like, great boobs. You know what I mean? If that doesn't deserve at least a nomination at the Logies, then fuck, I don't know who's running the thing. But Osher is not only is he professional, but he's bloody pulls off a Hawaiian shirt whenever they do like a trip to Thailand for the finale. You know what I mean? Loves a chino and checkered shirt kind of look. He rocks a suit. His haircut's always fucking fire. He's charismatic as all hell. And obviously I've already mentioned the hair. So if that isn't the full package of ideal TV hosts that deserve a gold Logie, then I don't know what is. Grant Denyer got one. Mate, I love Grant, right? Don't get me wrong. Grant Denyer, Australian hero. He's no Osh. And I think Grant would agree. I think Grant, the first person to say that publicly would probably be Grant. You'd hope so. So guys, we've got a pretty big community here of Osh fans. I think probably one of the largest communities in Australia of Osher Ginsberg fandom. Here's what I want from us. Every waking hour. Don't have to be doing it all the time, but I want it in the back of your mind. I want in the back of your mind, every waking hour, every single day, I want you always be thinking, just this, ticking over in your head. Fuck, I want to see a golden Osh. That's all I want from you guys. The desire to see a golden Osh. Because if I get you guys thinking about that now, right, and we're all in this golden Osh mindset, you know, I want it to, whenever you see something gold, to think about Osh. To the point where, during the Olympics, whenever you see one of the medals, Osh is all you're going to be goddamn thinking about. Guys, the things I would do for a golden Osh, and with your help, I'd love to start a campaign on this podcast that's hashtag Osher for Gold. Let's do it. Let's get the great man what he deserves. I'm not particularly even into Australian television or the awards, but if there's anyone who bloody deserves one in Australia, it's Osher. So let's get behind him, guys. So I'll let you know if there's a link for like a petition maybe or something like that. We'll do our best. Look, this is early stages. This is really just planning. This is more like, you know, like the first committee kind of like where we're all getting together and we're just going to talk about, you know, how we think Osh could go for gold. I'm an ideas man, of course, but I'm no one without, you know, a bunch of other Osh fans like myself contributing. So if you want to hit me up during the week, let me know if you have any ideas for Osher for gold. And by the end of the year, I want to see a golden Osh, and hopefully we can get joined on this podcast by a golden Osh. That'd be a dream come true for me, and assuming a lot of you guys. So yeah, let's get Osh for gold, guys. Mia, thanks for suggesting that one. It's good to see that you guys are out there and looking out for our heroes back. Now, let's get on to the knock, guys. If you didn't listen to the first episode, the new official way of communicating with the podcast is, of course, knocking me up. I want you guys to knock me up on my Nokia. It's actually not mine. It is so originally I tried to get my dad's one to work, but because of the what's the best way to describe them? Selfish and uncompliant folks who work at Optus. I could not get that phone working after they selfishly hung up on me after 27 minutes on hold. Am I still at war with Optus? Absolutely. But it's like one of those wars where it's a war that's become a siege. And, you know, we're both just waiting each other out, trying to starve the other, you know, the other side. Like, I'm waiting for Optus to retaliate. They're waiting for me to retaliate. And look, this could go on for days. This could go on for months. This could go on for years. But I want it to always be known that Optus, I am still at war with you. And if you're looking for a peace declaration or a treaty or something like that, too late. I'm not interested. And you're going to have to go above and beyond to end this feud, or forever you'll be considered an enemy of not only myself, but this podcast community. So let that be a warning, a stern warning, one of Luke's stern warnings. I should have stern warning them on the radio. That's what they fucking deserved. So, alright, the knock. It's now working. I have a new knock. It's sent in by James. Everyone doing, stop what you're doing, right now, and just maybe give a quick salute to, even if you're watching at home, you're at school, on the train, whatever, it doesn't matter. People are just going to stare at you for about 3 seconds. On the count of 3, I want everyone, film it, send it to me if you want. On the count of 3, I want everyone to salute James. 1, 2, 3. Great. Now, I hope you didn't do it like a Heil Hitler, or then definitely people are fucking saluting you on the staring at you on the train. Now, James sent in his old knock. He donated it to our podcast community. So if you're a Patreon person, you've already got the phone number to the knock. That's how you get it, by supporting me on Patreon. It helps everything I do, and we've already got over 70 people supporting me on Patreon now, which means we've hit our second milestone of getting a new microphone for the podcast. So I'm going to order that microphone next week because I'm waiting for the money to come in. And I'm still paying a lot of it out of my own money because it's a $700 microphone. But yeah, it really helps, and you guys have paid for half of that, so that means the world. And also it means the podcast will improve from now on. It will be good audio quality. But yeah, if you can't see, we've got the My Name Jeff background, which James already put on the phone. He sent it to me from Adelaide. Came in the mail just a few days ago, and people have already started hitting me up on the knock. There's a fair few messages I haven't read. I've only had this phone with a SIM card in it for about 3 hours now, and these are the messages that I've got. I'll scroll down to the bottom right to the first message. The first one is my name is Jeff. The second one is my name is Jeff. Then it's new phone who dis. Oh, here's an actual message. First person who's properly knocked me up. Hello, fellow Caucasian. Can you make the podcast like 5 minutes longer so I can listen to it from the start and the end of me mowing the lawn? Thank you. And that's exactly what I expected. Just fucking entitled white people texting me on a 2010 Nokia. I literally expected nothing less. Man, why do you mow the lawn so much? Are you mowing the lawn every week? That's weird, dude. That dude's in the Patreon group chat, actually. I think his name's Josh. And he mows the lawn way too much. He's always like, oh, yes, I've got something to mow the lawn to. And I'm like, dude, how fucking quick is your grass, dude? You got fucking Usain Bolt grass. Why is it, like, what are you doing? Are you going out there fucking the day after and fertilizing that shit, watering it every day? Why have you got such speedy grass? Slow that shit down. Man, it's like the opposite of my hair, because I got really slow hair. Anyway, that's another thing. Alright, another message is my name Jeff, with about 10 Jeffs. My name Jeff XD. My name is Phil. Phil D's nuts. Oh my god, I love that people are paying to have this phone number, right? That's like part of the Patreon thing. They're paying for it, and then they're just fucking writing Phil D's nuts. Then another my name Jeff, also my name is Jeff my name, Mum. Just, someone said, oh, here's an actual question. Would you rather be controlled by mantis shrimp for a day? What? What's a mantis shrimp? I'm going to have to DuckDuckGo that. Would you rather be controlled by a mantis shrimp for a day and be forced to watch it make stupid mantis shrimp decisions, or be the most... fuck, the Nokia went to sleep. This is such an inconvenient way to read out fucking correspondence. Would you rather be controlled by a mantis shrimp for a day and be forced to watch it make stupid mantis shrimp decisions, or be the most wanted pirate on all the seven seas for a month in the 1700s? Dude, that's the stupidest fucking question I've ever gotten. What is a mantis shrimp? Mantis shrimp on DuckDuckGo. Oh, shit. That's an ugly ass shrimp. DuckDuckGo right now what a mantis shrimp is. That's insane. By the way, if you're not DuckDuckGoing things, you're living in the past. If you're new to the podcast, DuckDuckGo is the official search engine of this podcast community. It's far superior. I don't even like to say the G word, but it's far superior to Google. A few words that we won't say on this podcast is obviously the G word. I will absolutely not say the N word on this podcast, and 9MSN. There's no chance. That's the only N word I won't say. And that's such a fuck joke. And obviously, the Y word, I will not say Yahoo. These will be the only times I say it, by the way, just so you guys know. And obviously the B word, Bing. We won't be using that either. So yeah, DuckDuckGo things. It's because the reason why I hate Google so much, a lot of people are confused. It's my I don't hate Google. I just think if you're using it, you're an infidel, and that you're you're an inferior human being with absolutely no respect for your time, because you Google something, right? So many results. Often it will come up with like 731,000 results, and you're thinking, I don't have that time. DuckDuckGo will give you about 7. And that's great. That's all I want, really. So, DuckDuckGo, far superior search engine. To answer this question, I would rather be a pirate on the 7 seas for a month. Just because, seems fun. Maybe I'll die, but being a mantis shrimp would suck. My name is Jeff is another one. My name fucking Jeff. Just a lot of Jeffs coming through. Mad that it's online. Jeff phone. Okay. Great. So far, look. Did I think this was going to improve the quality of correspondence? A little bit. Has it? Absolutely fucking not. If anything, it's gotten worse. So, yeah, if you want to knock me up, the phone number is up on the Patreon thing. If you don't support me on Patreon yet, I'd love it if you considered. And, yeah, man, that's the way to communicate with the podcast. Man, I was checking out this Nokia before, and it's got this car game on it called Rally 3D, and it's sick, dude. It's one of those car games you play where it's so hard because the map loads in front of you, so you turn around the corner and you can't even see what's ahead because the map hasn't loaded yet. So you're trying to play it, and then the map finally loads, and you're like, oh fuck, it's a right-hand turn, but you just crash into the wall because the map didn't load quick enough. And there's also Snake, which is dope. Yeah, man, it's sweet. And there's Sudoku on it, so I'll be bloody having a right old good time with the knock in my own time. But yeah, hit me up on the knock. I'll be answering your questions on the podcast next week. So what else do I want to talk about? I'm sure I had a couple more things. Do I have to go to my gig soon? Oh, I want to talk about my Herald Sun article. Yes. That's so funny. So I got hit up by the Herald Sun, which if you live in Melbourne, you would know is like the biggest newspaper. If you live in Sydney, I think it's the equivalent of the Daily Mail. Whatever big paper in your city is, that's what it is in Melbourne, right? And they hit me up to do an interview during the Melbourne Comedy Festival, right? And I've got to find the interview. I didn't take it seriously at all because I was like, who the fuck still reads the newspaper, right? So I was like, oh, I'll just answer shit stuff to see if they'll print it, and they did. They printed all of it. I bet you I had spelling mistakes. Whoever edited the shit is the reason why journalism doesn't fucking exist anymore. So they asked me what have you been up to since the last time you were at the Melbourne Comedy Festival? So I was just like, all right, I'll wade in slowly. Right, so I was like, I've been travelling the world with my tambourine by my side. I've also been doing a lot of radio and videos. But the best thing I've done since then is watch the 1998 hit sports comedy film, Basketball. It was actually a really good movie, and I regret not watching it sooner. They printed that shit. Fucking garbage. I was like, alright, fair enough. That's not that crazy. Maybe they thought I was being serious. I was being serious. It's a great film. And then they were like, alright, what other comedians / shows are you keen to see this year? And I got a mate of mine who does comedy called Nick Kappa. He's a great comedian. I said, you should go see Nick's show. Nick is my favourite second Australian with the last name Kappa. If it wasn't for Warwick, he would be number 1. They're printing fucking Warwick Kappa memes. So I was like, alright, let's. And then the last question, right? I was like, so they were like, who should see your show and why? And I said, everyone with a pulse. If you don't have a heartbeat, then you're excused. Otherwise, I'll see you there. Looking forward to selling 7 billion tickets this year. Just no respect for journalism. So this person studied for 3 years to print my bullshit. And then they said, anything else you want us to know about you or your show? And I said, BYO tambourines, which is true. So many people have been BYO and tambourines to the show. Came out in Sydney, and yeah, man, Sydney and Wollongong. Jack, he came to both shows. This guy named Jack and his girlfriend Maddie, they were legends. They drove out to both shows and they bought tambourines, and that's what it's all about. I came out on stage, we're playing our tambourines together, and we touched tambourines at the start. It was fucking majestic, dude. And that's what this tour is all about. Just a bunch of percussion enthusiasts getting together and loving what we all love. I feel like I need to explain, by the way. The show has fucking hardly anything to do with the tambourine. And I feel like people are going like, oh, should I go see Luke's show this year? I don't know, like, does he just play the tambourine? Like, I've been rocking up to venues, and people who don't know who I am, like, who work at the venue are like, yeah, I saw that, like, I was going to, like, obviously on their shift, they're like, the show tonight is Luke Kidgell, the tambourine tour. This girl was like, serving me, and she was a waitress, and she was backstage. She's like, hey, you're a comedian, yeah? And I was like, yeah. She's like, right. I thought you were a tambourinist, and I was so confused. And I was like, yeah, I've been having that problem a bit, actually. It probably wasn't the best name for a fucking comedy show. But I do have the tambourine on stage, and there is a fair bit about the tambourine, but yeah, it's just a fucking stand-up show. So I wanted to explain that before you, just so you guys weren't confused. But yeah, it's definitely like confusing a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people at the comedy festival are like, does this guy fucking play the tambourine for an hour? I wish. I'm not that good, man. I can't keep in time for that long. Alright, I have one more thing to talk about. Oh yeah. On the first podcast I talked about, I was doing a charity walk with a guy named Daniel, whose brother had passed away last Boxing Day. His brother Julian passed away from tall leukemia. He was only 20 years old. It was very tragic, and Daniel hit me up and said that he was a big fan and that they came to my shows last year, and they live in my local area, and he was doing this amazing thing for the Leukemia Foundation where he was walking 42 kilometers from the end of my train line to the city, right? And I was like, that's incredible. And they were only trying to raise about $2,000, $3,000. Daniel ended up raising $21,500, and that was the last time I checked. I'm sure it's a lot more than that now. So I said, yeah, man, I'd love to get involved. He asked me, could I share the link? And I was like, I don't think that'll be very effective, but I was like, I'd still love to be involved. So what would be more effective is, I was like, I'd love to actually join you on some of the walk. I didn't know. So he said that he wanted to do a lot of it solo for his brother, but he said he'd love to have me there for a few stops. So I walked with him for 2.5 hours last Saturday morning, and man, it was great. Daniel was such a those people that you're like, oh, you're a better human being than me. It was an absolute privilege, so shout out to Daniel if you're listening, man. It was great to have a chat, and that bloke's going to go far in life. And also I met his parents and stuff afterwards, and before, and they were lovely. So real credit to you guys for raising such an awesome dude, and you should be really proud of what he did. And he ended up making it all 42 kilometers. I left him at Eltham, if you're familiar with the area. I walked from Hurstbridge to Eltham with him, which took over 2 hours. And man, I was fucked. Like at the end, my legs were so sore, but good on him, man. He pushed through and he made it, and he raised heaps of money. And the reason why I bring it up again is because I wanted to thank you guys. I posted about it a bit on social media and in the podcast group, and the response from you guys, once again, with you guys being excellent people as well, was tremendous. I saw heaps of names on the donation list that I recognized from the podcast group, so thank you guys so much. I reckon we actually probably raised a few $100s with ourselves. Obviously, I donated myself as well. So yeah, with your help, we definitely made a difference, and it's cool to do that shit once in a while to prove that we're not all just white pieces of shit listening to this fucking mess of a podcast, that we are all actually good people, and it makes you feel good. So yeah, a bit weird to end the podcast on a serious note, but I just want to say shout out to Daniel. Awesome work with that man, and obviously once again, sorry to hear about your brother, and I hope you and your family can obviously it's a thing you never move on from, but hopefully you guys are going well, and it was great to meet you all. So yeah, and also thanks to you guys as well for being that generous with your money and your time. So yeah, that's the end of the podcast, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's. We're doing it every single week. I'm trying to build this podcast into one of the biggest ones in Australia. So I'd love it if you told a friend, if you like it, if it brings you joy every week. If it sparks joy, then don't throw it out. That was a callback from 2 weeks ago. And yeah, that's the end of the podcast. I'm doing Melbourne. Melbourne shows start next Wednesday. Please get on that shit Wednesday, Thursday night, or otherwise there's going to be no one fucking hooraying when I say hip hip on my birthday, and that's sad. So yeah, I'd love to see you turn out. You guys all came out last year, Melbourne, so hopefully people come out again. I love it when you guys get around it. It's the one time of the year where I don't ask, but like I love when people are willing to show me a bit of love. So yeah, man, the comedy festival is my favorite time of year, so I'd love it if you were there. It's the best show I've ever done. It's the most fun I've ever had doing on stage, and yeah, I'd love to see you there. So thank you very much for listening. Support me on Patreon if you want to knock me up, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.